So from the last video, you should know that I'm not an average boy in both weight and personality. Another thing that actually makes me a bit different is I have Aspergers, which is a mental disability on the autistic spectrum. So I have a form of autism, basically. And it actually made understanding me being gay a little bit more difficult. Not just in the sense that, I'm different, so I must be gay, or I'm different, so I must be autistic. But like, I used to get bullied at school. I used to isolate myself. I never used to talk to anyone except really close friends. And in my teenage years, it actually made it more difficult to learn who I actually am and come out of my shell a little bit. See, I was diagnosed with Asperger's when I was 10, and I actually came out to everyone when I was 15. And that 5 year gap was basically me just shitting myself because I thought, my whole life, oh, I'm weird. Oh, I've been diagnosed with Asperger's. Oh, that should have fixed me, but it didn't. And then I realised, oh, I'm gay, so I have to come out. I have to come out as being autistic and gay to people, so that's great. Now, you think I would have had more issues with people coming out as gay, but I actually had way more issues with, coming out as an Aspie. But yeah, I used to have a very close friend, and he was like my first proper friend, and it was whatever. I was quite young at the time, so when I got diagnosed, I kind of wanted to tell him, and when I did tell him, things were a little bit off. Obviously, everyone knew I was a bit weird before I told them that I had Asperger's. And to be honest, I only actually ever told like a small amount of people, which is probably why I was a bit more affected with the reactions. So I told him, oh, I have Asperger's, and he's like, oh, what's that? And I'm like, oh, it's just I have a mental disability. And when someone says mental disability, especially back then, and especially when you're young, you sort of think, oh, you're mental, not to, offend anyone, but there's a lot of negative connotations associated with mental disabilities, mental disorders, because, well, the word disability and disorder isn't exactly a magical word, is it? But, yeah, that's just what it is. That's just the technical, word for it. It's a disability, it hinders me socially, so whatever. When I told him, because he probably thought I was mental, he told me not to tell anyone. He told me keep it to yourself, and especially don't tell my mum, because his mum was a bit of a bitch. Whoops, sorry, if I get famous and whatever and he sees the video, but I feel so weird talking about this because it's like so personal. Like, yeah, I know being gay is personal or whatever, but this is like, actually, it's affected me my whole life. Being gay sort of has only affected me up until I came out, and up until recently, actually, when I actually fully came out to myself and sort of realised that, I'm going to have to start being myself because it's exhausting trying to be anyone else. Having Asperger's is something that you can grow out of. It's whatever. It's with socialising. So obviously you can learn to be better at socialising. You can learn to be more yourself. And I think, honestly, me coming out as gay and like having to like, work through all that sort of helped me. So I'm quite appreciative. Thank you. Thanks for making me gay. So yeah, I have no doubt in the future that, it's not really going to affect me nearly as much as it did when I was younger. But when I actually first came out when I was younger and told everyone, and not everyone actually, and told people, it really killed my confidence having to say that you've got something wrong with you, that, I'm not weird because, oh, it's just me, I'm weird because of this or whatever, which isn't the case. It is me, having Asperger's and stuff is just who I am. If I didn't have it, I'd be a different person. So that's just how I like to think of it. We like to put a lot of labels on things, and I guess having Asperger's is just a label for me. It's weird, but yeah, it's just who I am. It's not it doesn't define me, it just helps describe me, so let's carry on. Sometimes I feel really insecure about my personality. Yeah, I can feel insecure about my looks as well, but yeah, if I always hear, personality is what matters, and I think, sometimes I go a little bit far with things. I overreact to things, a lot of the time. I'm chill about a lot of things, but then other things, it can really set me off. And I hate saying that because it's like I'm some sort of weirdo who gets triggered at everything or whatever. Harry just has Aspergers. That's why he's weird. That's why he gets set off by things. It's really annoying because, yeah, it happens, and it's awkward because I realised afterwards, like, oh crap, yeah, that's mental. But it's just something I've got to work through. A lot of the time it is just an outburst. Oh, I hate the word outburst. I hate all of these words, but yeah, it's just an outburst of emotions because, well, everyone's different, And that was actually one of the main things I got confused with because I sort of denied having Asperger's. So when I did have these outbursts and I did have these things that happened to me, I'd Google symptoms or whatever, like having Asperger's, and I never related to any of them because I'm not sure whether this is just because I'm high functioning or whatever, but one of the main things is that you don't get sarcasm, you don't get emotions or anything like that. And I'm actually the opposite. I'm actually hypersensitive to like emotion, like I really get how someone's feeling. I can really like empathize with people, and I really get when someone's being, sarcastic. I think it's more of just understanding things in the moment. When someone's insinuating something, I don't really get it because I'm like, be upfront, yeah. You know what I mean? Like I'm like, stop being so behind the curtain and start being more, out and open. Not everyone's different, not everyone's the exact same. Not everyone's going to relate to a bunch of words on a list on a website. Whatever a psychologist is telling you, whatever a person that seems to know your life is telling you, scratch all of it because only you know you know what I mean? Like, I know what I struggle with. Sometimes it does take someone else to tell me for me to realise, but at the end of the day, I'm the only one that knows what I go through and essentially how to get through it. So if you're struggling with any of this, or you're struggling with your sexuality, if you're struggling with your gender identity, a disability, whether it's physical or mental, both are equally relevant. Obviously, being socially anxious isn't as, difficult or, threatening than losing an arm or not being born with both your legs or having a weak heart or, not being able to breathe properly. It is still a disability. It is classed as a disability, but it doesn't mean I'm less able than someone else. It doesn't mean that I'm not as important as someone else. No, it doesn't mean that I can't not be as good or even better than someone else. So yeah, if you're struggling with any of this stuff, put it in the comments. Or DM me message, privately on Twitter or whatever, @_Harrible. And just, yeah, I can give advice maybe. I don't know. Yeah, if you like the video, subscribe as well if you like these type of videos. I promise I'm not going to do any more of these unless you really want me to, but yeah, next video I'm actually I'm doing a bit of a music thing, so if you enjoy a bit of rap, bit of hip hop, sorry, then yeah, definitely subscribe, comment down below, just do whatever, you know what I mean? Live your life, do this, yes.